All right, guys, welcome back. I'm going to talk a little bit about what's going on right now. There's so much going on, and I don't think we should just bury it under the rug. We need to talk about this. And what I'm seeing is a lot of fear about opening up about your true beliefs. A lot of people are just placing their faith in the governments, and they aren't really speaking up. And those of us that are choosing to speak up and question things a little bit are really getting ganged up on social media and by the main narrative. All these people on Facebook that are they've taken the pill and they're buying all this lie. And I'm not stating that I know everything. I love to always consider the fact that I could be absolutely wrong, and I actually hope that I'm absolutely wrong every day, because what I see coming isn't very pretty. And I have a background of studying finance, and that's kind of initially what turned me on to the corruption of these governments and really the evils that they're committing. And so that already had me questioning their motives and if they actually have our best interest at heart. So when this stuff started coming up, I was already questioning it. I wasn't your average Joe Blow just working their day job and doesn't have time to actually look into anything past the headlines they're reading on their Facebook feed or whatever. And when we look at Facebook and Google and all of the mainstream, Instagram, all of that, they're all owned by the same people. They all have the same interests at heart, and so we can't rely on them for our news. It is highly controlled, and well, sorry, it's pretty windy here. I don't know if this mic cover is going to help, but we'll see. Anyways, if we look at what's going on, these people are choosing to side with the government. They're choosing to side with the lockdowns. They're choosing to side with the mask mandates, and they think that they can hide behind this fake righteousness. They think, oh, because the government's mandated it, that it must be the good thing to do, and I can just stand behind what they're saying and support it, and then I don't have to take any responsibility. I don't have to look any deeper. I don't actually have to use my critical mind. I can just side with the government, and there I'm choosing the right side of this thing. That's not actually the fact. All of you that are choosing to side with this whole mandate and tyrannical takeover, you're going to be remembered forever. Those of us that are actually taking the time to look deeper into this and choosing to look at all of the information and the studies that are being suppressed and to use our critical minds to dig a little deeper and to question things, we're going to remember all of you that just rolled over and gave up your freedoms and didn't question anything. And those of you that ganged up on us on social media and tried to call us out with your groundless claims. We're not going to forget that. I hope you guys have the courage to tell your kids what side of this whole thing you were on in the future when all our liberties are gone and China owns everything and you can't buy a single thing unless it's from Amazon, and you live in a little 300 square foot apartment that's given to you by the government. You get a little handout to go get your white bread and rice every week. I hope you remember that. I hope you have the courage to tell your kids the truth about what side you were on. And those of us that are taking the initiative and having the courage to stand up and speak alternative opinions and trying to share alternative science and stuff that shows and exposes these lies, that takes a lot of courage. And so if you're one of the people that's digging deeper, props to you. I think that is very courageous, and I think that's the best thing you can do in this time. Like I said, I don't think, I don't know everything. I don't know. The only thing I know is that I know nothing at all. I love that. So let's just look at what's going on, though. I think it's always healthy to ask ourselves questions. So forced lockdowns. So why, they think the lockdown is going to flatten the curve. Well, why are all the big shops open? Why can you go to Walmart? Why can you go to the liquor store where it's jam-packed with people and everyone's loading up on booze? Why are you even allowed to drink alcohol when it's jeopardizing your immune system? All the pot shops are still open. Why is that? Why is, the Costco's open and all that? And then your mom and pop business is being forced to shut down. You got to ask yourself, is it not safer to shop at and support local than send all of our money overseas to China? So right there, it should get you asking some questions. And why are they only spreading this information about all of the deaths and the vaccine being the only thing that's going to save us and it's going to be okay as long as we just all inject ourselves with this whatever concoction that they've done very little testing on, and it's all in the name of big money that the pharmaceutical companies want to make. And yet they're suppressing all of the natural stuff that, like keeping a healthy immune system, taking vitamin C, taking zinc, taking chaga, taking vitamin D. All of these things are highly preventative of contracting this thing. And so the other thing that they're not talking about is that the bulk of these deaths are all in long-term care facilities. So it's elderly people that are already immune compromised, and it's here in Canada anyways, it's 78% of the deaths are in long-term care facilities. And so why are we shutting down the entire economy and destroying people's livelihood, causing massive poverty and deaths and overdoses, suicides, etc., that's going to last far longer than this pandemic? And yet we could really just focus on where the actual issue is, in these long-term care facilities. You know, and if you're really that immune compromised, it's really your choice. You don't have to go out in public. You could order your groceries. It's such a small percentage of the population, but yet the amount of people that are going to die from these forced lockdowns, the amount of small businesses that are going under. With another winter of lockdowns, so many people are going to be pushed into poverty. They won't be able to afford healthy food anymore. They won't have the liberties they once did. So many kids are going to starve. This, just by choosing to sit on the sidelines and not even speak up at this point, you are involved. You're making a choice. You're choosing, just by choosing silence, you're choosing what side you're on, because we need your voice. Everyone needs to speak up at this time. If you're not at least questioning this in your own home behind closed doors, when you're thinking to yourself, if you're not wondering if this is an overstretch of the authoritarian control, the direct attack on our constitutional rights, on our Charter of Rights here in Canada, then there's something wrong with you. And yes, maybe it is only a mask mandate and it's not the biggest deal, but this is an actual violation of our fundamental Constitution and Charter of Rights. That is why this is such a critical thing, because they start with something small and they see if they can get away with it, and then once they do, it's a slippery slope. So yes, it's the easiest time to resist this is right now. And at the same time, I respect people being in fear, and I respect the elderly being fearful of what's going on. And so yes, if I go into a store, I'm going to wear my mask. I don't want to create a big scene. I don't want to get arrested. I don't want to go into jail. I don't want to make the old people scared. So yes, I have compassion for what's going on. But do I agree with the mask mandate, and do I think it's useful at all? No. Read the science. Look a little deeper. Go past your Facebook feed. You know, and a lot of the people that I see supporting this, they're either already at home lazy, doing nothing, collecting welfare, or they're working full time. A lot of them is actually the medical staff. A lot of the nurses are in full support of this. And if you look at that, it's because they're so fearful. They're the ones that are in this environment where they'll probably get exposed to it. They're working long hours. They're all exposed to blue light all day long, LED lights everywhere, bombarded with Wi-Fi. This is all the stuff that dumbs you down. And then you're working 12-hour days. When do you think they have time to actually dig a little deeper than just their daily scroll through the Facebook feed while they're, waiting in between patients? They don't have the time. So I'm sorry, but I just don't think they have the best rounded perspective when they look at this. So I just think that we all need to look at this with a critical mind. Of course, I'm not stating that I'm correct, but I do think it's very important that we all start asking these important questions and we start looking at what's going on, because this is a direct attack on our liberties and our freedoms, and it's in direct violation of our Charter of Rights and our Constitution. And when they're forcing people to close their businesses, when the business owner becomes a criminal, that is when you have to start asking yourself questions. He should have the right to open his business, and somebody else should have enough mental capacity to make their own decision if they want to choose to go into this business. If they do choose, then they can wear a mask to protect themselves if they think that's going to protect them. It shouldn't be send in the troops and handcuff these guys and throw them in the slammer because they tried to open their business. This is fascism. I can't believe that people can't even see it at this point. Arresting people for choosing to open their business is not endangering anyone else. People can make that decision if they want to go in and support that business, if they want to take the perceived risk. So why does this person become a criminal? That's my question for you. And you might say, oh, because they could lead to the spread of this virus. If you're really that scared, just stay home, stay home and be your little digital warrior on Facebook and post all of your nihilistic comments but personally, I see a direct attack on our freedoms, and I know it's not much right now, but this is how it starts. And if we look a little deeper at what's going on, look at how our governments are allowing the China takeover. They're allowing 5G technology to creep in. They're allowing the Chinese drug money to come in. Here in Canada, it's a massive cover-up. They're laundering all kinds of Chinese drug money. They're allowing them to buy up real estate with shell corporations, pushing up the price and making real estate unaffordable for true Canadians who have lived here for a long time. They're opening up the borders. They're flooding our countries with immigrants, which is putting a huge amount of strain on our social services that we spent our entire life paying taxes for in order to create these social programs and services. And now we're just opening the gates, and whoever can come in from whatever country and take full advantage of all of these services that we spent our entire life working for and paying for. And now most of us don't even qualify for them. It's these brand new foreigners that do. So it puts tremendous strain on our economy, and it's more divide and conquer tactics. And then if you look at that, you look at the drug money coming in, look at how they're allowing our streets to be flooded with Chinese fentanyl. They're killing off the men. The bulk of the people dying of these overdoses, it's something like 76% are male, and the average age is about 38, 39. So it's young males who traditionally would have stood up to this tyranny. They wouldn't be a bunch of cowards sitting at home, in complete support of this tyrannical takeover. They'd actually stand up and band together. But the bulk of the men right now, or not the bulk, but a large number of men are addicted to drugs and are on the street and have already been pushed into poverty. So they have no drive. They don't have a family. They've brainwashed us into, thinking that having kids, don't have kids, global warming, there's already too many kids. They don't want you to have a family. They don't want you to be married and in love. They want you divided. They want the men fighting the women, and they want everyone in their own little bubble playing victim. They don't want us joining together because in numbers we have power. And so the whole thing is a divide and conquer tactic. It's one thing after another. As soon as the Black Lives Matter thing ends, then it's the riots, and then it's the US election, and then after that it's it just goes on and on. Then it's the mask debate, then it's the vaccine debate, and it'll go on and on and on, and they'll expect you to choose your side. There's no room for nuances. It's black or white, and then the whole thing gets divided, and then you can't even figure stuff out because you're so divided, and then your little community just becomes an echo chamber. Anyways, I am saying that we will remember those of you that are in favor of this. You will not be forgotten. We will remember what side of history you were on. And shame on you if you're not digging any deeper, if you're taking this at surface level. Shame on you, because there are so many of us that are getting pushed into poverty, that are losing our jobs, that won't be able to feed our families. And if you look at the actual numbers, the masks have done absolutely nothing to flatten the curve. And so it's really a psyop. They want you walking around. They want you muzzled. They don't want your smile being exposed. They want everyone, like, how depressing. Personally, all I can do is make the choice that's within my power. And I'm choosing to just not go out in public at this point because it makes me so depressed to see all of these people just giving up their rights without really questioning things. And I don't want to be that person causing a scene. So yes, I will wear my mask because it's not worth the hassle. But instead of wearing a mask, I'll just choose to not even go out. So then there's more of us doing that where we don't want to bother with the hassle. So that's going to cause more bankruptcies because no one wants to go out. When you try and go into a business and there's a big list of stuff they want you to do, all these rules that, oh, go stand over here, put this mask on, you know, stick your finger up your nose and turn around 3 times and then jump on your right foot. Like, F off, I'll do what I want. I don't need to be constantly told what to do. It's just a huge attack on it's embarrassing. It makes you feel like a fool. It makes you feel like an idiot when you can no longer just think for yourself and everything is an order and a rule and you're demanded to be like that. It's shaping you up mentally for the whole new world order that they're trying to roll out. This is a globalist takeover, in my opinion. I'm sure many of you have different opinions, but why are we seeing so many similarities in different countries? It's all coming from the World Health Organization and this Davos and all of these world summits. It's absolutely disgusting. I think that the way it's going to happen is these people will crumble. Their whole idea will crumble because it isn't built on a foundation of truth. It's built on corruption. It's Satanism at the very highest level. And many of you might not be aware of that, but dig a little deeper and it's a death cult. You will see. So what I think is they will collapse because it's not built on truth and a higher good. And what will happen is we'll have little communities that will start springing up of people that saw through the lies earlier. There's always kind of that first group of people that start to clue in and they start to wake up. So if you're one of them, I highly encourage everyone to find as many people as you can that's of similar mind to you, people that are questioning all of this, and really help support those people. If they have a business, by all means, use their business before anyone else's business. Choose to support them. Choose to help them out in any way you can. Share information with them. And we really have to band together. And I think what's going to happen is we'll have the breakdown of globalism because it just won't work. And we'll have a re-emergence of kind of the local level stuff where we'll have little micro political community kind of politics that take place, and we can kind of trade more on the local level, because I think we're going to see a major breakdown of global trade and this whole importing all of our products from China. I just don't think it's sustainable. It really isn't. And so I don't think that it will last long term. And so I think the way that this whole thing changes is by those of us that are starting to wake up a little bit early. We kind of will set an example for the other people, and they'll really see once they've all taken the vaccine and they're all sick and they all live in their little apartment and they get their UBI check and they have nothing to live for. They don't contribute to the world in any way. They don't have any freedoms. They can't even think for themselves. The government tells them how they can and can't think, what they can and can't say. And they'll continue using their corrupt currencies that will just continually steal their wealth and keep them in poverty. And those of us that choose alternatives, I think will do very well. And I think that will set an example, and more people will start to wake up and look towards those that are doing better, those that are thriving, those that are healthy, those that took matters into their own hand. They didn't give away all of their liberties and freedoms and self-reliance to the government. They didn't say, oh, take care of me. I don't know what to do. Do everything for me. It's those that really choose to take matters into their own hand. Take care of your own health. Take care of your own people. Take care of your community. Take care of your business. And, I do think we need to start rising up in ways that we can. I don't think we need to be attacking the maskers and all that. This whole divide thing, it's all part of the tactic. So we have to have an understanding and sympathy for those on the other side. But at the same time, we do have to recognize that you are making a choice by deciding which side of this you'll be on. And I think we should take mental note of those that are choosing to side with this whole tyrannical takeover. And personally, I'm just not going to support their businesses. I'm not going to support them in any way because they made the choice. If they do decide to wake up one day, of course, I believe in forgiveness. And, I even myself came from that background of thinking socialism was the way forward and capitalism was the enemy and, global warming was the only problem and all this. And I went through my own awakening. So, of course, I do have sympathy for all these people, and I do pray for them that they do have their own awakening and they see and they can come over to the other side. And by all means, I think it's important that we constantly ask ourselves or consider the fact that we may be absolutely wrong. And I hope I'm absolutely wrong. I hope the governments have our best interests at heart. I hope that this isn't a massive tyrannical takeover. I hope that our currencies one day actually hold value and gain value and create prosperity. I hope that we can still all do business and contribute value in this world, and we can all work together to create a better world. I hope that the banks and the governments don't own everything and we all just become little slaves and we go to a feudalistic system. I really hope that doesn't happen. But these are wild times, and it's more important than ever that we take the time to actually look past the surface. Get off of Facebook. Look at some alternative articles, follow people that are smarter than you, follow people on the other side of things. Don't just follow people that are only in agreement with you and block all the people that don't agree with you. I personally like the haters. I love it when people come on my page and hate because, it's just, I find it amusing. I find I just think it's good to keep the debate open, and props to you if you don't necessarily agree with what I'm saying but you still watch my videos or comment on my posts. Good on you. I think that's great. I think that's what we should do to keep debates open. I've been wrong many times, and I'm sure I'll continue to be wrong. So it's important that we always leave the debate open and we're always questioning one another, and that we're not just shutting off the opposition and we're not just getting angry at one another and closing down to growth and evolution. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video. It was a bit of a rant. I have so much more to say, but I know I got to cut this video off. Most people don't even have the attention span to listen to me rant for so long, and I'm just your average Joe Blow. So as always, if you haven't already, hit like on the video, subscribe to the channel. And I started posting a little tip jar for you Bitcoiners. If you ever feel like shooting me a tip, that'd be fantastic. Just trying to keep my motivation up with this channel. And I do hope to get some people on the channel soon and talk a little more about all of this stuff. But for the moment, I'm stuck out here in the middle of nowhere, and I just go on these walks and walk around and rant. So I'm super grateful for this beautiful. I'm just so glad to not be in the city and just be in the forest here and surrounded by nature. And it's just such a blessing. And I chose about 4 years ago now to leave healthcare. I was the head electrician of a bunch of big hospitals, and I took care of all their electrics, and I'm so glad I left that environment. Right now, it was such a toxic system where it was just all about power and control, and I had about 6 managers all telling me how to do my job, and they had absolutely no electrical background. It's just such a toxic environment, and I made the personal choice to leave there, and we all make our choices and we all have to live with the consequences of that. And so at the moment, I don't really have work. Unfortunately, I moved and my business has tanked, and we're forced lockdown, so it's really hard to meet anyone else or do business. But that's just the way it is. I have to look at the positive of this situation. It gives me an opportunity to share with you guys and all that. So let's all just look at what we have in our life and be grateful for that, because it's so easy to focus on all of the negative, especially nowadays. So let's just do our best to tend to our minds and protect our minds and protect our hearts, and come together and turn off the social media, turn off your TVs, band together with those that are choosing to remain healthy and use their critical minds and to question these things and to create resilience against these